Coast Aragon here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Voters head to the polls in Wisconsin and Hawaii today. Wisconsin shaking up to be possibly the tightest contest in the Democratic race since Super Tuesday. Senator Hillary Clinton is hoping to end Senator Obama's string of 8 straight victories over the past 2 weeks. The airwaves in Wisconsin have been filled with campaign ads. In this ad, Senator Clinton criticized Barack Obama for refusing to debate in Wisconsin.
Both Democratic candidates were invited to a televised debate here in Wisconsin. Hillary Clinton has said yes. Barack Obama hasn't. Maybe he'd prefer to give speeches than have to answer questions. Like why Hillary Clinton has the only health care plan that covers every American and the only economic plan that freezes foreclosures. Wisconsin deserves to hear both candidates debate the issues that matter, and that's not debatable.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
The Barack Obama campaign produced this ad as a rebuttal.
After 18 debates, with 2 more coming, Hillary says Barack Obama's ducking debates? It's the same old politics of phony charges and false attacks. On health care, even Bill Clinton's own labor secretary says Obama covers more people than Hillary and does more to cut costs, saving $2,500 for the typical family. Obama's housing plan? It stems foreclosures and cracks down on crooked lenders. That's change we can believe in.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
John Nichols joins us now in Madison, Wisconsin, political writer for The Nation magazine, associate editor of the Capital Times newspaper in Madison. Welcome, John Nichols. Can you talk about how the race is shaping up in Wisconsin?
Sure, Amy. It's good to be on with you. The race in Wisconsin was really defined right after the Potomac primaries of a week ago. Barack Obama came into the state immediately. He actually accepted his victories in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia at a huge rally in Madison with close to 20,000 people present on a very cold night. And by the same token, Hillary Clinton didn't come to Wisconsin immediately. She had her first rally on that Tuesday night in El Paso, Texas. And so from the start, Obama has been far more aggressive in Wisconsin. He's spent the better part of 5 days campaigning around the state, going to not just the major cities, but to some mid-level and smaller cities. And the sense here is that Obama has sort of captured the moment, as has happened in a number of states since Super Tuesday. But the most important thing to understand about what's going on here is that both Obama and Clinton have dramatically evolved their messages. And the Obama campaign has focused an immense amount of energy on the issue of free trade. Obama went to a General Motors plant in Janesville and gave a lengthy speech of about, this is on last Wednesday. And in that speech, he really distanced himself from the Clinton administration's trade policies and associated Hillary Clinton with those policies. Clinton's come back very hard, distancing herself as best she can from NAFTA, from China free trade, and a host of other trade pacts. You would almost think, Amy, that this last few days in Wisconsin, you were in Seattle in November of 1999.
Where does John Edwards fit into this picture?
Well, if he would actually leave his home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and make a choice, he would fit in a big sense, because Edwards had a lot of following in Wisconsin. He almost won this state 4 years ago in a last-minute bid to defeat or slow down the campaign of John Kerry. And Edwards had probably more state legislators backing him, more local officials than any of the other candidates. He also had strong support from the Steelworkers Union, which has a good presence in Wisconsin, and a lot of sympathy from the Auto Workers Union, which is one of the bigger manufacturing units here. And so if Edwards were to have endorsed, in fact, I'd be honest with you, even if he endorsed early this morning, I think it would help whoever he backed. But my sense is that he won't be a factor in Wisconsin. The one thing that is important to understand, though, is that in this state, both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton have sounded like John Edwards. They've picked up immense amounts of his economic populism. They've also both tried to humanize this campaign. They've both told a lot more stories about laid-off workers and people without health care in much the same sense that Edwards did during the races in Iowa and New Hampshire.
Obama went and visited, tried to make it a secret visit to the Edwards. Hillary Clinton had already done that, actually, soon after Edwards had pulled out. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And there is a John Edwards primary going on. There's a reason for this. Understand that on Super Tuesday, after he had quit his race, John Edwards got almost 500,000 votes. And in some states, like Oklahoma, he received 10% of the vote. Now, that's just a tip of the iceberg. And in Wisconsin today, it is an iceberg day. We have almost 20 below zero wind chills. But that's just the tip of the iceberg on Edwards' support. And it's not that he could have won the nomination. That's not the point. But there were an awfully lot of people that were very, very sympathetic to his economic message in particular. And so, yes, Hillary Clinton's met with Edwards. Barack Obama took a break from the Wisconsin campaigning to fly to Chapel Hill and meet with both John and Elizabeth Edwards. Also, I know that both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton make regular phone calls checking in with the Edwardses. The reason for this, obviously, at this point is not Wisconsin, but because Wisconsin is, in many ways, the first battle of the rest of the race. This is a state that has been hard hit by NAFTA, China free trade, a number of the other recent trade pacts. And so it's a big issue here, much bigger than in many of the states that had voted earlier. Well, it's an even bigger issue in Ohio, which will vote on March 4th. And so these campaigns are doing everything they can to get John Edwards on their side, or I think more in Hillary Clinton's case, to just keep him out of the race. Because the sense is that if he were to weigh in strongly and actually go out and do some campaigning on behalf of a candidate, two things would happen. First, that his credibility on some of these economic issues would help that candidate. But also some of the unions that really worked hard for him, especially the steelworkers, would take a second look at that candidate.
And also Senator Feingold of Wisconsin. What role is he playing here? He hasn't made an endorsement yet.
He has not. Senator Feingold has played a fascinating role, and that is as sort of a tour guide of Wisconsin for the candidates. He did an interview with me before the race really came to Wisconsin, and he listed certain things that candidates should do. Fascinatingly enough, at the top of his list was start talking about trade in a serious way, no slogans, but deep, smart, detailed discussions of how you're going to change the U.S. trade policies, which are currently written by Wall Street and very damaging to workers, farmers, and the environment and consumers. That's the first thing he said. The second thing he said is give the speech in Janesville, Wisconsin. Janesville is Senator Feingold's hometown. It's a old, classic industrial town with a huge General Motors plant that still employs thousands of people. And the interesting thing is that last Wednesday morning, on his first full day in Wisconsin, Barack Obama went to Janesville and gave an extensive speech about trade. So clearly, Obama listened to Feingold. Now, Feingold's not making an endorsement. He has suggested that he will probably vote as a superdelegate the way that the state of Wisconsin does, although he has not said that absolutely. Many of the members of Congress from this state who have not endorsed, Ron Kind in the West, Steve Kagan in the North, have also not endorsed but said that they will vote the way that the state does. And so, interestingly enough, this primary in Wisconsin takes on even more significance because it's the first primary where a significant number of elected officials are saying that as superdelegates, these are folks who will go to the convention not chosen by the voters but chosen by virtue of their positions, as superdelegates, they will keep faith with the electors in their state, with the voters of their state. And so that's where Feingold is at least at this point. And frankly, both campaigns still talk about him constantly. In fact, I saw Hillary Clinton last night. She and Feingold have not historically been particularly close, and yet she went on and on about our great Senator Russ Feingold and how much she cherishes her working relationship with him.
Russ Feingold, the only senator in the U.S. Senate to vote against the U.S. Patriot Act. John,
well, and also, Amy, if I could just add, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Also, the first senator to come out for a timeline, a specific timeline for withdrawal from Iraq and the first senator to call for the censure of President Bush for warrantless wiretapping.
John Nichols, you have blogged about this very interesting story in New York Times this weekend, Sam Roberts. The headline of that story, Unofficial Tallies in City Understated Obama Vote. This is about New York. Explain what happened.
Well, this is a huge story, Amy. And understand this, that this race for the presidency is still very, very close, the race for the Democratic nomination. Either of these candidates could, at the end of the day, prevail. In a situation like that, where the